Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on Ashes of Creation. This is an MMO that I've been getting a lot of questions about, especially in regards to certain aspects of the game, such as the combat and the referral system. In this video I'm going to give you my experience with the game at PAX West 2017. The gameplay you're seeing on the screen is just some stock footage that they threw up from the live stream, I believe, and this was given to us so we could distribute it and use it for commentary and stuff like that. Now, I spent about 40 minutes at the Ashes of Creation booth, and some of that time was spent talking to Intrepid Studios, who are the creators of Ashes of Creation, who I found out are actually located in San Diego, so I got to go pay them a visit. And some of that time I spent actually doing some of the PvE content that you're actually seeing on the screen right now. I specifically played a priest, aka a healer, and I will be mostly speaking from my experiences with that role. So because it was only like a 10 to 15 minute play session, I can talk a little bit about some of the promises that are made for Ashes of Creation, but I first want to talk about my direct experience with the combat of the game. So the first thing we'll dive into are the classes and their abilities. Now, as I said, I only played a priest, so I only really am familiar with those, but I'll do my best to give you an overview of my experience with the classes and the abilities that I saw. So each class boasts a variety of unique skills and a set role in combat. One of the more fun things for me is that some of those unique skills actually allow you to interact with the world directly. You know, you can see a mage creating land masses to get across like a dangerous waters, like a dangerous river. You know, as a priest, I was able to walk into a cave full of noxious gas and dispel the natural occurrences that were in the area. Rangers were able to reveal clues to help the party find the objective. And there's also mention of rogues being able to do things like disable traps or find more treasure. Obviously, the list goes on and on. As for the abilities themselves, the active combat ones, most abilities had their own static cooldowns instead of a traditional global cooldown. This means that instead of spam pressing skills, you're generally gauging a situation to determine how to best proceed with using each skill, because not only is mana a precious resource, but so is the cooldown on your abilities. You also have a basic attack, which can vary. For the mage you see in this combat, you very regularly see it being in the form of an ice bolt, and that's used to generate not only damage, but a bonus resource to activate your ultimate skill, which is noted by the orb under your mana. Ultimate skills can be used to turn the tides in your favor. I only got familiar with the priest one. From what I could see, it gave me wings, and I was able to be much more effective at keeping my party alive. I'd say the most awkward thing about my gameplay experience, and I'd say the one big sour note I had, was the combo system. Now, as a healer, I only had this on one ability, but I don't know if like the melee have this on multiple abilities. On my basic action, there's a system where when I activate it, I have to repress a skill a second time within a designated window. Think of it like a perfect reload in Gears of War in a sense, although with a much more generous window in which to reactivate it. When I do that, it then gives me a combo notifier, and then it goes into a second time where I can do that, where I can generate even more damage and even more bonus resource. Now, in theory, you'd think that maybe make the combat more engaging. You know, you do have to pay attention to this skill in order to use it adequately. But it just kind of felt weird. Like, it kind of got in the way of everything else I felt like I was doing, and I was very glad to be a healer at that point. While I do need to land basic attacks in order to charge up my ultimate, I generally lost interest in doing so just because it just felt so clunky in a sense. Especially when trying to move and execute this attack. Maybe if they moved it to like left click, I'd be able to do it a little bit more easier, and maybe it's just me, but I found it to just kind of go against the flow of the rest of the combat. Something that was so hyper focused on this bar versus being so situationally aware of everything around you. Maybe the contrast works well for some people, but it really didn't click for me, and that would be the one thing that I kind of hope they rethink before this game actually becomes playable to the wide public or people who have backed it since the earlier days of its Kickstarter. And then using all these abilities against your enemies, for the most part, what it seemed like it was enemies have like attack animations and attack tells, and that those were vital, and knowing exactly what enemies you're up against and their attack tells is key. Visual tells of enemies or bosses were like swiping claws or rearing up for a breath attack. You know, knowing and recognizing which enemies can do what seems like it was going to be the core aspect of the gameplay, and that you not only need to be prepared, but you need to be able to react to seeing these things, because even as a tank, that doesn't mean you take every hit to the face. It means you need to know which hits you can take and which hits you can probably avoid altogether. As for the areas and the parts that we got to see, honestly, the graphics were pretty damn good. I was really happy with the way and the details, or the way that the details sort of popped to me. It added some degree of depth and a little bit more immersion, even being on the show floor with all the loud noises. I found myself just kind of looking around and trying to find the finer details and things. I think maybe the color palette could use a little bit of work, and when the colorblind guy says that, you know, it was just, maybe it was the area we were in, but it just felt like kind of dull. It's just that the areas were interesting and vast and looked like they had stories attached to them, which, considering the way that Ashes of Creation is poising itself, that's what it wants to capture. So I kind of want to see more areas before I say like that maybe it was just too much of the same in the areas where we were. If thematically, I'd say that that's actually a good thing and that I'm just being an idiot. So as for the game itself, I'm just going to rattle off a few things that in my discussions with some of the devs there, they spoke about different aspects, that kind of all stuff that's also on the website. You know, it's an open world broken up into several sections known as nodes, and we got to see that here. They had a scripted like node advancement in our actual gameplay experience, and basically a node is a part of the map that evolves based on the player base's decisions in that general area. And depending on the actions you take inside of the nodes, you know, you could destroy a city, you could bring a new city to life, and you could open up hidden stories and secrets for the players to uncover. Now that makes it sound like it's player generated content, which admittedly does not sound great. There's been so many games trying to do player generated content in the MMO industry, and it's really hit or miss. You have to really be into it, like role-playing, like taking the role-playing out of RPG and like really running with it. But what's interesting is that while it is technically like player-generated, or I guess the players decide the direction it goes, it's not like it's up to your imagination to determine the story of the city. Ashes of Creation creates these potential stories and these hidden secrets and these paths for the population to unlock and build. So while the content, the direction of it in the active game is decided by the players, it's all content that's already been developed by the developers. So player-driven content is maybe the more accurate term over player-generated content. And I think that's a smarter decision. It makes me think of one of the majorly redeeming factors, in my opinions, of what's the game called? Star Wars, The Old Republic, is that you are making your own decisions and your character's story evolves based on those. Think of that on a wider scale. Ultimately, the game content was there to begin with, and you're just deciding the direction it's going to take. And you know what? You can destroy a city if you don't like the story that you have, and then you can build a new city, and you can figure out the story for that one there. So that means they have to have a lot of different stories to unlock, and that's going to be tough because players like to consume content like crazy in the MMO industry. So can you really have a big enough variety that I'm not just going to go like maybe 5 nodes over and find the same story evolving there? We'll have to see. That's a tough thing to do, but they seem confident they can do it. You got stuff like housing, where players can build houses anywhere in the world. You could be deep in the middle of nowhere and be like a hermit, or you could be in like a bustling suburb of other players. In order to evolve these nodes, you have quests. You know, players can even compete to complete different quests to build the node the way they want to. Could be for political reasons even. They may want to change the world in their favor so that maybe a trade route is safer for them, or maybe they just want to be the recognized hero of the area. It could be anything. There's also sieges where maybe a guild or a group of players, maybe they take an area, they build a castle, and you can siege that castle, and you can destroy those structures and pave the way for a different future. Maintaining a castle is pretty tough because these are hundreds of players we're talking about in this battle, and so if you're able to keep a castle, you get some pretty decent rewards according to them. It sounds a lot like it's all open world PvP stuff, but there is, of course, PvE. Of course, the content you're seeing on the screen right now is PvE. They say that AI is going to adapt to the players as they fight them, and that may be something that they have saved for later on. It didn't really feel that way against the enemy we fought, but it's like one enemy plus some trash, so I guess it's not really a great representation. But they said the world should feel dangerous, and the dungeons and the enemies inside should also feel dangerous. Of course, PvP, I mean, you've probably figured out from the other stuff like sieges, open world PvP, caravans. In some zones, you can choose to be flagged, and in other zones, you have what's called static PvP zones, where you know, no matter what, it's a PvP area. One of those PvP areas is a caravan. You know, if a player is escorting a caravan full of valuable resources, or a guild is escorting their caravans, you know, other players can just choose to attack those caravans. They create static PvP zones around them that if you're a stranger and you approach them, you're in a PvP zone. So if you want, you can ravage your enemy's caravans for your own desires. And with all these things, the name of the game is trade. Set up shops, move resources, protect what's valuable to you, and get ahead of the competition. Of course, crafting and gathering is going to play a huge role in that, and they say there's not many useless items, or there are no useless items, actually. Played a lot of MMOs that say that, and technically, while there may not necessarily be useless items, it's hard to define everything as valuable. So we'll see what actually leans more towards the truth. Now, that was kind of just an overview of the stuff. Obviously, I didn't get to see 90% of that. They did have PvP set up there that I didn't have time to get into, because I only had time for this like one little PvE excursion that we had right here. But there's one last thing I want to talk about, and this was a big thing when Ashes of Creation was first unveiled, and that is their referral program. Now, MMOs have had referral programs in the past and where there's certain benefits offered. Ashes of Creation is very much trying to boast, or I should say Intrepid Studios are trying to boast, that why spend millions on advertising? The people who play an MMO are most likely the people to get others interested in playing MMOs. And that is a mentality I actually do agree with, as somebody who regularly gets asked, hey Haps, you know, should I play Final Fantasy 14? Or hey, what do you think about this game? People ask other people for opinions all the time. I mean, that's why review sites are so popular. And for MMOs, if you know, people go to Twitch streams and check out YouTube videos. Like that is just how it works. You're watching this right now. Maybe you're just trying to decide right now if you're interested in the game. That's exactly what the mentality is. How they take that mentality, I don't know. I 100% agree with. So let's go over it. So basically, you can refer other people to the game, almost like an affiliate link. And when you refer them, you can get things like money off your subscription, which I think is a cool idea. I think that idea in particular is cool. If you refer other people, your subscription cost goes down. Cool. I like that. This is a subscription-based MMO. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. It is not a free-to-play MMO. It is a subscription-based MMO. So that's a very nice little perk. The other perk is you can get, well, there's two other perks. Then you can also get, I think they're called like Intrepid Bucks or something like that. Let me see if I can pull up the exact word. Like, I have the website open in like a tab over here. Yeah, Intrepid Bucks can be used to buy in-game items from the cosmetic shop. So while it is a subscription-based MMO, like pretty much every free-to-play and subscription-based MMO right now, it has a cosmetic cash shop. I mean, Final Fantasy 14 has it, WoW has it. Pretty much every game that exists nowadays has some sort of cosmetic cash shop, and we know that they're generally successful. So you can use it to buy stuff off the cosmetic store. The last one is the one that's causing a little bit of a stir. Cash rewards. You can choose to convert your direct referrals into cash, into money. So you can essentially, like I said, treat it like an affiliate link. That gets a little dicey. Now, on the surface, it sounds like the coolest thing ever. Dude, I play a game. I can just tell other people to play this game. I make money. Dude, I do that for a living right now. I'm making this video. I make videos for a living, and I refer to games to people, or I review games so people know whether or not to buy them. I don't make direct cash on it most of the time, but it is something I do. So you'd think I'd be all for this. It's just that I start thinking of like legal ramifications and the way that a lot of people might see it in certain lights, and it's difficult for me. You know, I don't really know how to feel about it. Of course, I'm going to make a referral link. There's no reason not to, and it's going to be at the bottom of this video. So, I don't know. It's the only thing I'm kind of iffy about. The good thing is, at least it's only direct referrals. Like, you can't, like, refer someone and then they refer someone and you get paid on the second referral. That would make things... let's just say in college, you know, I got roped into Amway, and I got out of there within, like, a couple months because I wasn't digging that whole thing. So... thank goodness for that. But then it's like, you don't even have to be actively playing the game to refer people and make money. And again, if it's an affiliate link, again, I guess I can't really say I'm surprised. It's just, I think you get what I'm saying. I just don't know how to feel about that. Maybe it works out, maybe it's great. And the whole idea is, they said, to save millions of dollars on, you know, publishing and advertising. I guess not publishing, yeah, millions of dollars on advertising, and do this instead. And that's it. They're very good at wording it, and I'm not. So there's details. I'll include a link to it in the description, but that's the only other thing. The combo system and this referral thing are the only two things I'm kind of iffy about. Like I said, I'm going to see if I can visit Intrepid Studios here in San Diego and see if I can maybe dig a little deeper and get you guys some more information. But overall, if they can fix that combo thing, the gameplay will be a lot smoother. Other than that, I had fun with it. So that's my thoughts on it based on PAX West. Be sure to let me know what you thought. If you've played it, if you're looking forward to it, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned because, like I said, I'm going to try going to their studio. I already spoke with them at the event and said, hey, maybe we can arrange something. And then I might have more information for you about some of these topics, especially that combo system, which is really, really bugging me. But anyway, be on the lookout for more PAX West stuff on the channel. And again, if you actually want the referral link, it is below the video. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, take care.